All right, so today we're going to be talking about van life safety. So is van life actually safe to do to begin with? And are there things that you can do to actually make it much safer for yourself and potentially your loved ones if you're living in a couple or you have kids or pets or whatever? So basically inside the camper van, if you're worried about people breaking into your camper van, it's pretty simple. Couple of tools you want to equip yourself with. One is they call it the club. So it's just like one of those things that you put on your steering wheel to lock it in place. It's mostly a theft deterrent because the number one, like let's say you have a Sprinter, a Transit, or ProMaster type of commercial van. The number one reason why people break into these vans is not to steal them, because they're actually kind of hard to steal, and especially to ship overseas overnight and stuff. You need a really big container for it. Most people usually break into them because they're looking for like tools or stuff, valuable things that are inside. So the number one place they're going to try to go probably is your rear doors. And it's happened to me because I know they always start with the rear door and then they try to open the side door. Most of these it might scare the shit out of you the first time. So I'm aware of that. And it might, stop you from sleeping the rest of the night. But it's basically, these are just opportunistic thefts, like they're checking if the door is unlocked. They probably have no idea somebody's even in there in the first place. And if that's the case, you actually know your stealth build is doing you a favor. Even thieves don't think there's somebody in there. So that's really good, because they would be the first people to really give a shit about if there's somebody in there or not. But if they're probably gonna try opening the doors if they think there's nobody inside. If there's somebody inside, obviously, you can have an axe if you're in place, or like a weapon, a knife, whatever. I don't think people go around breaking into camper vans because they want to hurt people that are inside. Like usually, like I said, the intention, guys, is that they want to steal something. So put a lot of theft deterrents. You have in Canada, I don't know if it's in the US too, but you have the tags, things they hide in your vehicle to track them by satellite if ever they get stolen. But they also put a sticker on the window. So even if you don't want to pay for that, just get the sticker, put it on your window. It deters theft. The club, for you to lock your steering wheel in. Install additional locks on your doors. So on my rear doors, I have like this big bolt lock, it's like really thick piece of metal. And even if they somehow manage to unlock the door, which could be possible if you just leave your keys lying around. So I'm going to give you one tip to circumvent that. But even if they somehow unlock the doors, that big, bolt lock is not going to allow them to open the rear doors. And you could even set up something similar on the sliding door, which now I have to rethink because I put this, bug screen there, the bug screen there with a magnetic thing. So it gets in the way of that. So I got to actually think of another method. But if you don't have one of those, I'll edit in a B-roll so you can see exactly what I'm talking about, and it works wonders. So even if they somehow unlock the doors, they're not getting in. But then they might try breaking the front, break the window, whatever. Even if they did that, like the steering wheel, like it's a fortress at that point. Like there's no way they're getting in unless they're like strong enough to pry open metal, which no opportunistic thief is like walking around with like a diamond saw or something, or like the machinery to cut out, especially if you're like moving around. Like if you're parked in the same space for like weeks, they might be like, oh, it's an abandoned vehicle. Like, let's, then that attracts more thieves than not, believe it or not. And obviously, if you want to make it not apparent that you live in there, like obviously it's like you're trading one for the other. If you don't want like people and authorities to notice you as much, you're going to maybe attract more thieves than authorities. So it's like one or the other. But personally, I'd rather deal with the thieves because they're not that hard to deal with. So that's basically all there is to that. So the thing for the keys, we make sure that nobody can ever break into or just unlock your doors, because what they do in Toronto, like in places like that, they have like these little antennas or these little devices, because a lot of people leave their keys in the entrance. So they literally will go into your, like if you're living in a house, believe it or not, like they'll go into your front driveway, they'll pull out that antenna, scan for your keys, and unlock your doors using that thing. So the way to circumvent that is to have what we call a Faraday box, or you could literally go buy a bag of Lay's chips, empty out the contents, and put it in there like in an aluminum bag, but that's basically for that. So now the next thing we're going to talk about is like potential hazards. So natural disasters and stuff, like you're actually at a huge advantage if you have a camper van, because if there's a hurricane or something or a tornado, you can just relocate very easily. Someone with a home, they might lose their home in that natural disaster, but you don't have to lose your camper van. So you're already safer there. So the next thing is like hazards. So what kind of hazards can we deal with in van life? Well, a lot of them are going to be caused by lack of circulation, air circulation to be more specific. So that's why I always recommend installing at least 2 roof vents in your camper van. And if you do that, you're always going to have airflow. So even if there's some sort of like fumes, like maybe you spill a little bit of diesel, a little bit of gasoline, for some reason you're not storing it properly, the vapors are in the air, and for some reason you can't smell, because obviously if you smell it, you would do something about it, unless you like the smell, and then, well, still ventilate the space, please. And the vapors are always going to escape. Okay, so that the biggest problem is when it's completely closed off and things build up. And there's not just, fuel vapors, there's like humidity. Okay, and that's going to create mold, wood rotting, that kind of stuff. So I made a video about that specific issue, how to deal with humidity, in another video. So you can check that out. But the number one tip in that video is ventilation. So if you have that already, you get rid of like most of the problems, if not all of them. But then the next thing is like if you're using like a diesel heater, propane heater, I mean, the first thing is don't use propane heaters. I don't recommend them at all. But let's just say you use diesel heaters. What are the risks there? Well, there's the risk that carbon monoxide poisoning, exactly, carbon monoxide. So what you get is a carbon monoxide detector. Okay, and then you're good. And if there's ever carbon monoxide that leaks into the van somehow, which it shouldn't if you set it up properly, it's never happened to me, but I have the detector there just in case. So that's already a way to be like so much safer. So there's that. And what else could we talk about? There's also the batteries. So a lot of you have probably marine batteries, like, like those big, like the ones that go into the engines or in boats and stuff. And you have some sort of like alternator system to charge, like we don't recommend that at DIY Camper Build. Like I just use power stations. I have a Blue 80 AC 180 and 2 Jackery 240s. Those are the best. But either way, those batteries, there always is a risk where they can catch fire, like in electric vehicles and stuff. And if they do, well, like the marine batteries are usually like hardwired, or they're like, bolted on, and they're somewhere where they're like non-accessible. If that happens and the fire starts, like just get out of your van. If you have a fire extinguisher, a fire blanket, which are 2 things I recommend having, but at least the fire blanket, because fire extinguishers, if you're not going to maintain them or you don't know how to use them, you might actually do yourself more harm than good. But fire blanket, absolutely. But for the most part, get yourself out of there, because you won't really be able to reach that battery in time to stop the fire. So that's why I recommend the portable power stations, because if it ever does catch fire, you can literally take it and you throw it out of your vehicle. You take the fire blanket, you take it and you can throw it out. That's always a possibility. So that's why I prefer those batteries. And also they're like so much better. Like you can charge them at the gym and stuff. They're portable. A topic for another video, which I've already done. So check that out if you're interested, but they're a lot safer. And obviously, if it's not obvious enough already, have a smoke detector as well. So some of them you can have a smoke detector and a carbon monoxide detector all in one. I would just get 2 of them, or 1, or 2 of each, whatever. You can never have enough of this stuff. Just make sure you're safe, okay? And that none of these hazards can happen. But that's basically all there is to it. So those are the only potential hazards you can really happen. And obviously, like make sure you're comfortable, okay? Like don't kill yourself, like, just to make this lifestyle possible. Like there's a way to do it where it's probably more comfortable than living in an apartment, believe it or not. So do those things, okay, that I said. The number 1 thing to remember is the ventilation. And the number 2 thing is the locks, the additional locks, and the theft deterrents. And it'll just help you sleep better at night. Doesn't mean that people are not going to try breaking into your van every once in a while. Like in the 3 years I've been doing this, it's happened to me like 2 times and nothing came of it. It was just like a little like unnerving and stuff. But I made the the preparations. Also, another little bonus tip, if you want, put some stickers outside of your van, and also like a dash cam, things like that. Anything that makes them think twice. Oh, is the camera recording? And then there's the sticker like, that it's being recorded and stuff. And don't make it too flashy. But if you don't make it too flashy, like I said, you'll attract more thieves than authorities. So I'd rather have that. And once you know how to deal with them and you know how to deal with the hazards, then van life actually becomes pretty safe. You're actually better equipped. You're if the apocalypse happened, you would be able to handle it better than most people. So already I would take some pride in that and some relief in the thought of knowing that you have everything under control. And after watching this video, we haven't really missed a single thing. But if you think that I missed on an important point, let us know in the comments what that is. And I'd be happy to make a follow-up video addressing any other concerns, or if you have any questions, by all means. So thanks for watching, guys. Stay safe out there on the road, and I'll see you guys next time.
All right, guys, that's it for this one. If you're building something that's meant to last, whether it's a camper van, a business, or just a better way of living, I'm glad you're here. Everything I use, recommend, or offer is linked in the description. Take what works, build your own blueprint, and I'll see you in the next one.